Welcome back to the Old City, Leviathan. The last thing that Solomon said in the last note that I read was, "Goodbye, friend." But I don't think that's quite the end of his story, because that was note number 6. And there is a note number 7 that I have not found yet. So I'm hoping there's more to the story that might make some, well, it's not going to be a happy ending, but maybe something can happen that isn't just full of despair. Because what happened at the end of note number 6 was so far from happy it's not even funny. It's incredibly disturbing, so at this point there really can't be a happy ending, but maybe there can be an ending full of some hope? Maybe? Well, here's to hoping. Let's see. Put aside Leviathan. Explore your dreams until the world fades and progress is maintained. Explore your dreams until the world fades. Does that mean see what I can see before I die? There's something in the sky. I think it's, a minotaur. It is. Make the leap. Look at these stalactites and stalagmites. It's alive. But it's sleeping. Just like Ziz was sleeping. Just want to make sure I don't miss the last note. I guess I have to make the leap, huh? Hopefully this is a leap back into reality. It's so dark back here.
We're almost there, Leviathan. The final step between me and the old city's upon us. I wish I could take you along.
I guess we're about to find the source. Oh, look at that. To Water Avenue. Oh, look at that. It's a cool little detail. One of the bulbs is, like, partially fallen out, but it's still connected on one end.
Will you remember me? After all, I could never forget you. And how can I even begin to thank you for all that you've done for me? You protected me from a world that I was too weak to bear. But now the distant shores of another reality are calling me home. To something I've never seen before. A dangerous and unpredictable world lies ahead of me. But I'm ready to let loose the sails.
So, Leviathan was the thing that was protecting him by making him... It was... It was a thing that was making him see something that was not reality to protect him, right? It was the thing making him see a more pleasant version of reality without the bodies and the blood. Right? Or was Leviathan the thing that was bringing him back to reality? I can't quite remember. So I'm not sure if I'm heading deeper into unreality after having probably drank from the unclean water, or if I'm heading back to reality. I don't know, given the dreams that I'm having and walking through these fantasies, I would say it looks like, if anything, I'm getting more disconnected from reality. It's definitely around where the water comes from. Look at all of these green pipes. You know, it just occurred to me what GUO means. I just realized what they mean. The water was split into multiple sources, right? To the 3 different main factions. So that's 1 pipe to the guild, 1 pipe to the unknowing, and 1 pipe to the order, right? I just realized that. I don't think it really matters, but it's nice to know. Okay, that door goes somewhere. Let's see what's over here first. That door goes somewhere. That's the most intelligent thing I've ever said. All drivers, something wheels, set brakes, shut off engines, okay. What is this drawn on the ground? That's a boat on the water. Symbol of the Minotaur, symbol of the guild, the greater eye, question mark? Certainty. Deduction.
Here it is. The leap. Goodbye, my old friend.
This is it? Oh. Well, heck, I'm not going there first. Hold on. Let me take a quick look around for the last note, and if not, I'm going to go through that door back there. Can't even see the bottom. Sharon Station. Just want to sail? Travel in style. Book your journey aboard the Escape. I think it's a different sort of escape that I'm going towards. $9.82. It started when I was a child. I'm sure it started just after I began to ask questions. I asked them over and over until my poor parents were forced to resort to arbitrary certainties. Why? I asked. Why? Over and over I wanted to regress until I hit a point where "I said so" was the only acceptable answer. It was at that moment, that small moment of parental authority, that I felt safe. In the most bizarre and unfortunate turn of events, I fell downward into the acceptance of an end to regression. Ah, but the good was never perfect, was it? All I wanted was the good. I wanted to maintain my happiness, my contentment, even if it was born of a less than ideal perspective. But what is an ideal perspective anyway? What is the perfection that I should have latched onto? That's just the fun of it, isn't it? It isn't real. It's just a dream, my dear reader. The ideal was never real, and it was never within my grasp. To even attempt to reach it would have destroyed my happiness. The child in me could not handle this, however, so I rejected the ideal. I wanted to remain safe, yes, and I did so, until it happened.
My father once recited a poem to me about an older world. I believe it was called Dover Beach. I can still remember the imagery, just the words that escape me. We stood at the shoreline, waves crashing in, each wave eroding yet another piece of what I once believed. I think my father saw what was happening to me. He saw the dwindling of my dreams, the death of discovery. I could no longer rely on ABBA to build my dreams back up. Left with nothing, I convinced myself that there were no dreams.
Someone lives here, or lived here. Which way should I go first? Let's go this way first. Goodbye, Belle. So he came here after. Solomon came here after he learned about what happened to her. Or, I came here after I learned about what happened to her. You know what I think? Since drinking the unclean water makes you lose grip on reality, I think what happened is... Here's what I think is currently happening. My current understanding is that I think Solomon and Jonah are the same person, so I think I am Solomon, and I am also Jonah. And I think after Solomon learned about what happened to Belle, and he just couldn't take it, and the last thing he said, he talked about how he was going to drink the unclean water, right? Yeah, that's the last thing he said. I will drink from the unclean water. I may not have the bravery required for suicide, but I have the courage to embrace void. Basically, he was trying to erase himself. He wanted to make himself irrelevant. He wanted to forget. So I think this was all done by Solomon, probably before he drank the unclean water. And then he drank it. And then everything got mixed up in his mind. And he lost his grip on reality, and this is how Jonah got kind of spun off from Solomon. That's what I'm thinking so far. So I think Solomon did this and then drank the unclean water, and now basically I've been wandering around in kind of a fever dream of hallucinations after having drank the water. There's the route. Just leading into the old city. It happened. I fell. I began to defend my happiness with arbitrary walls made of certainty and realism. I created rules and structures that only had the effect of caging me in something entirely arbitrary. I did this all for the sake of happiness, yes. As the others began to encroach on my cage, the dwellers with differing perspectives, I became more vigilant in my defense until I was villainous. I harmed anyone who dared challenge my sight. Of course, I was never a dweller. I never had their communal spirit. Even from the start of the end, I was called a minotaur. That was simply due to my misanthropy, however, and it had hardly anything to do with my desire for the inland. Although it is true that their communal tendencies tend to make it difficult to break out of their cage, but I dare say it isn't impossible. At first, I thought the inland was a farce. I had been told by the few other minotaurs that I'd seen that it was some sort of center for enlightenment amidst our fallen world. The dwellers who had spoken to me on the subject had a far less optimistic understanding. Then again, why would they need enlightenment when certainty already exists? Minotaurs have the advantage of being self-deprecatory. That is to say, when you have no true arrogance manifested in certainty, you'll latch on to any anchor you can find. It was the same for me, it seems, as I eventually adopted the notion that the inland held the answers. I also began to feel as though I had none. My desperation grew as I lost all sense of truth. I began to feel my sight fading, and the thoughts of suicide crept in. I had truly hit the bottom of the broken progression. This was an especially unfortunate place to be in, as it then became impossible to see the upward tangent. The leap becomes obscured by void, and there doesn't appear to be any progression at all. The leap becomes obscured by void. It became impossible to see the upward tangent. So it appears there's nowhere to go but down. You can't see the way out. I'll check that note in a minute. Let's go see what's over here. I still want to know what's up with these arrows. This isn't actually real, is it? I mean, who would put their precious books outside where they can just get hit by the rain? Looks like that page has been partially burned. Everything changed, however, when I learned to use my dreams. I had always dreamed, of course, but the question was that of their usefulness, not their existence. I could not escape them, so the latter point was moot. Dreams have an incredibly powerful hold on one's perspective of reality, even if they have little to do with it themselves. After falling, my assumption was that the dreams existed to taunt me. They seemed to only contrast the ideal with the real. This made the real all the more depressing. But I do not believe that this is where the dreams have their use. Dreams act as impossible ideals that should never be fully grasped. Rather, they should serve only as a direction for progression. The dream will never be realized in your lifetime, dear reader, but the real will change marginally. A marginal effect caused by a relatively small part of humanity. Your task is to bring the dream to the real, even if the effect is marginal. One giant leap, reader. Abraham, they call me. At least, that is the name I gave to the young dweller who asked me the other day. What an irrelevant question. My name is as important as my status as an individual. Anyway, I could see the glimmer of pointlessness in his eyes. It is the driving force behind progression. If only he can accept the marginal nature of the process. He must be able to remove his worth as an individual so that he may take his own leap for only a small reward. When meaning is deconstructed, the only driving force for progress is the acceptance of uncertainty. Dreams. The old city never offered enlightenment. On the contrary, it offers only further dreaming, and it is now time for me to take my leap. I wish more would come along. So many different names, and everybody seems so familiar, or so not familiar, but seems so similar. And this whole irrelevant thing keeps coming up. Like, what an irrelevant question. His name. Abraham, Jonah, Solomon. These all feel like they're written by the same person. There's something in here I wanted to talk about. Where was it? I'm looking for it. There's something about direction. Something about the direction of the dreams. A place of the driving force behind progression. I wonder if that has to do with the arrows that I keep seeing. But the arrows don't... Yeah, the arrows don't point towards the leap. Though this one seems to point to the exit. Does that mean I have a choice? Hold on, can I go this way? No. I have a choice, don't I? I could go through this exit, or I could make the leap. Or is the exit the leap? No, I don't think so. Perhaps a figurative leap, but the literal leap is, of course, back there. So what does that mean? What are my options? Is this real? If it is real, then making the leap would be killing myself, because I don't know. Is this a dream world? Even though it's kind of weird that the books were outside kind of in the rain there, and that felt a little bit not real, for the most part this does feel real. This doesn't quite feel like a dream. Whereas every other place where I've made a leap, back at Ziz and back at the Minotaur, those have obviously been dreams. So those were figurative leaps. But I think if I make the leap here, it feels like I might be actually just killing myself. So obviously I'd rather not do that. Let's take a look at the note. Let's see what we have here. Oh my, this is very small. Void. Note 12, 4th of May. Belle once recited a poem to me about an older world. I believe it was called La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. I can still remember the imagery, though the words escape me. We rested in the forest, wind rushing past, with each touch of air brushing away yet another piece of what I now believe. Then I woke up. This is after he said goodbye. Goodbye, friend. And then he wrote this. What's the date? 4th of May? This is the 2nd of May, so this was written 2 days after. And what he just said, I can still remember the imagery, though the words escape me. Isn't that exactly what, Did I just read this in a note, or was this something that Jonah verbally said? Didn't he say something about his father reciting poetry to him, and he could remember the imagery but not the words? This is very similar, but it's obviously a different poem. Strange. Your task is to bring the dream to the real. One giant leap. I don't want to make the actual leap. Let's see what's through here. Oh god, this just leads around to the other side of back here, which means I think I still have to make the leap, don't I? Or, wait a minute. Oh, yes. Yes. That just loops around, that's all it does. Watch your step. Oh. a little bit of dark humor for the end. Well, is this a literal leap that ends my life? Is this a leap into the dreams? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
If this final dream before the new is to be trusted, then all life follows the pattern of broken progression. Some call it redemptive history, still others call it galvanization, yet the trajectory is undoubtedly the same. We exist on a familiar shoreline, with the waters lapping at our feet. We look back and see an explored and thus frozen world. Then, as if subconsciously recognizing the need for change, we dive into a prison of even further inactivity. My prison was my only friend, it seems, but even he saw fit to spit me upon a new shore.
So the prison of inactivity spit me out. So I'm done just being inactive, but what am I actually doing? People? Those are actual people. Are they real? Are they statues?
I won't lie, I do miss Leviathan. It wasn't his fault that I was a parasite. But was he necessary at all? After being cast out, was devolution in his stomach the appropriate next step? Why couldn't I have simply washed ashore to the old city?
They look sickly. Like they're half-rotted bodies almost turned into statue. They don't look right. Maybe the statues are just old and worn. The one constant between the factions is a distrust in this new world, the world of ideas. Then again, this makes sense given that their ideas are not truly their own. What's most interesting to me is that their ideas are based on essentially nothing, which is by no means a bad thing. If only they could recognize it. They have the same core in Abyss, but the deductions can still function. I understand the need to push their ideas, to make them win out in this abstract world they share with the others, because truth must be compatible with itself. However, once the core is unveiled as void, one cannot be certain that their own ideas are the most fit for survival. Thus, the ideas need to do battle with themselves, and by themselves in the world of the mirrors, the dream. If truth must be compatible with itself, making it singular and unchanging, you need only let your ideas, the ones that you hold dear, exist in the same space, the same dream, as the others that you reject. The mind will never be able to see truth in its fullest extent, but this sea of minds we call humanity will uncover it piece by piece if the ideas are left alone to do their work. Not through violence, rules, activism, or education will the ideas evolve. Only through idealism can the ideas be truly changed for good. A marginal effect, yes, but we must make giant leaps as individuals towards the ideal, knowing that it will result in only a small step for mankind. Because your experience and your individuality is worth nothing in the light of the greater and entirely imaginary Eschaton. You cannot expect the others to take this leap with you. Rather, you can only model that leap for future minds. You can only point in the direction of the ideal, rushing towards it with all your might, knowing that you would never reach it in 1,000 ages. You will never see the dream realized. It is for this reason that this new world is useful beyond escape. Nineveh needs only the ideas and nothing more. Not destruction, not legal action, not social reform, and not decay. Nineveh only needs the ideas and the ideas alone. You need them as well, and you must resist the urge to sail into oblivion, to Tarshish. Rather, sail into discovery. Sail to a world where your ideas die and new ones take their place, so you can bring back your findings to the world, to Nineveh, and enjoy their fruits. Trust stupid ideas to die with stupid people. Jonah. You can only point in the direction of the ideal, rushing towards it with all your might, knowing that you would never reach it in 1,000 ages. You can only point in the direction of the ideal. Is that what all of these arrows have been? Pointing the way to the direction of the ideal, hoping others will follow.
Perhaps Leviathan existed for me to discover him, even if that which I explored was my prison. Perhaps I simply needed to see the stagnation before evolving. When I was a child, I was given a rowboat. I wanted to sail, so the universe built me a galleon. How unfortunate that, when I got older, I no longer wished to explore.
Am I not exploring now, though? Haven't I been cast out of the prison of inactivity? And he just said, the universe built me a galleon. Didn't I see that? Like at the very end of one of these notes. I think it was one of the really long ones. Hold on. It was in here. It wasn't the first one, was it? It might have been the first one. Let's see. Yeah, look. Your interest will guide your galleon, and all you must be, is willing to sail. Your interest will guide your galleon. There's all these words that keep coming up. All these thoughts and ideas and stuff that are just exactly what Solomon has said. Yeah. I actually want to look at that again. Your interest will guide your galleon, and all you must be is willing to sail. And he said it's a shame that as he got older, he lost the desire to explore. He became comfortable with what? With void? What's that saying? It's pointing down and it says deduction, and then the others are the waves and it says belief, with question marks, like the unknown.
I am going to explore again. I'm going to board my vessel and sail into an unknown world to dream all the more. I'll leave this dream behind to feel the sand of other shores in my hand and let it loose as I travel inward towards newness. First, however, I'll make one last dive into Abyss.
I've been here before. One last dive into Abyss. Does that mean one last dive into reality? You know, I've seen a lot of these handles around. I remember I kept trying to press them and they never did anything. But now, being so close to the source, do you think? Why would I want to turn them off, though? Would I not be canceling the clean water? Withholding the clean water from the different factions? I am curious, though. No, I still can't. Levers are so inviting. Just want to press every single one I see. It's like a big red button, you know? One last leap into the abyss.
Here lies my captor, the great sleeping fish.
Well, this is certainly not reality. I'm underwater. Oh my. This is beautiful.
My foundation's been disintegrated. I'm left with nothing but void. However, the baby of belief need not be thrown out with the bathwater of certainty. An assertion from an assumption is still an assertion, making any deduction from that foundation subject to critique. I may not be able to deduce from a place that I know to be true, but that which I deduce from my dreams must still be compatible with itself. Like a child, I regressed with no end. Over and over I asked, why? As each answer demanded further questioning. Eventually, I convinced myself that the regression was nonsensical, by nature of it being childish. But what if that childlike curiosity is the vessel that can bring us to usefulness? What if we put aside the certainty and adopt discovery?
This is an incredibly beautiful scene. I just love how this looks. It's like a slumbering, half-buried minotaur under the water.
I think I was wrong. Dover isn't where my dreams died. It's where one dream took over. I dreamt that I had no dreams. I dreamt that Dover smothered my belief with certainty. In truth, a truth that I cannot know, Dover ran red. The dream of realism created a monopoly of comfortable stagnation that held me hostage until I could do nothing but cling to Leviathan's innards for safety. My belief was not truly killed, it was captured. One belief was deemed more true than another, and I convinced myself that I was correct. I convinced myself that I could be correct. What if this dream's monopoly was disintegrated? What if I could explore a multiplicity of dreams, never quite knowing which ones are a reality? Truth must be compatible with itself, but what happens when truth is unattainable?
The Pondering Minotaur. I like it. Oh my. What's down there?
I would tell myself that the real world has shown itself like a clear blue sky, spotless in its vast and flat nature. I tricked my own mind into believing that belief itself was not present. Now that the illusion has been revealed, I'm left believing that I can't know. Truth must be compatible with itself based on a starting point I can't prove. I can't assert which dream is not a dream at all because they're all just dreams. Why not discover the dreams I can't control, rather than hiding portions of them away to let what I was certain of flourish?
Should I venture into the belly of the beast? Oh my. I think there's a couple areas I want to explore first. I think I missed a couple things. I'm not quite ready yet. I think I might be able to fall down there. So that's one area, but there's also another. And that is over this way.
The Dweller's dreams could function within themselves, from their foundation, as long as the factions recognize that foundation as a dream. What point would there be in conflict if the dreams cannot truly be controlled? They have their dreams and they cannot assert which is superior, so why not sail?
It's the Guild, the Unknowing, and the Order. It's the symbol of the Minotaurs, the symbol of the Greater Eye. And then something else. Symbol of the Minotaurs and a question mark. They are the Unknowing, they don't know. And that's the Order. I'm not quite sure what all of the symbols mean. Both of these have like the sideways M sort of thing. But the one for the Order doesn't, it just has arrows pointing down. What does that mean? Hello. I've seen you before. You walked across the screen far behind, You walked behind the bars, far behind the sandbags early on. Hello? Nothing to say? I guess I've found its home. God, look at this scene. This is just incredibly beautiful. And it looks like that's where this leads to, the thing I thought I could jump down. Do you think I'll find the others?
Solomon saw the illusion for what it was. He saw that the lack of dreams was a dream itself. His downfall was in his pessimism, however. He saw the manifesting process of dreams to be too slow. But of course it is, my dear Solomon. The dreams will never manifest in our lifetime, but that's where they have their worth. The dream, the ideal, is an object whose grasp should never be fully achieved. It is in the desire for the object that our true desire should lie. We should desire to desire, and in presenting the ideal to a fallen world, we will make incremental steps towards perfection as the eschaton approaches. One giant leap for a man, one small step for mankind, Solomon.
One Minotaur offering his hand to another. It looks like the other doesn't want to take it. So is Jonah different from Solomon then? Because what he just said suggests that. But in talking about Solomon as a different person, he could be talking about a different part of his personality that has now died, I suppose? It could really be either. Solomon's downfall was in his pessimism. Maybe Solomon was not a person, but simply a part of me, of Jonah. A part of him that died, and he has now grown from that. He has bettered himself, possibly. Really could be either. So many of the things that Jonah has said are very similar to what Solomon has said, though. One giant leap for a man, one small step for mankind. I remember a while ago Jonah mentioned that in striving for comfort, in striving for security, I think this was around the time he mentioned the story that he was told by, I don't remember who he was told the story by, but he was mentioning a story that someone told him about a golem. The golem that built the castle around the beggar. It was an incredible fortress, and he lived in that fortress until his death. But it wasn't actually a fortress, it was a prison. And he said that once you have everything, what's the point? If you stop striving to better something, then what's the point? What is there left to do? And I think he's reinforcing that with his talk about we should desire desire itself. Because that has no end. Whereas if you desire something very tangible, it does. And then once you have it, what then? Okay, I've been both ways over here. Let's go to the other side. So I came from there. I think I've explored everything back there. But I have not explored this side. Oh, that just loops around to here. Okay, I think that's everything. Leviathan waits. If that is indeed Leviathan, the beast. I can see its glowing eyes in the water, blinking, waiting. Here we go.
One last look at my cage. One last dive into the abyss of negativity. A terrible world full of terrible people, yes, but that can be changed. Epistemic humility can regress to the deconstruction of stagnation. What I previously thought to be stagnation itself, the lack of any true knowledge, is simply the deconstruction of an anchor, freeing us to traverse the unexplored. I swam the depths. I confronted the bottom of the redemptive checkmark. I was far more negative than those who still cling to certainty, but that's part of the progression. It's part of the broken progression. In this respect, we cannot improve without first deconstructing. Now, all that's left is to rise to the surface, board my vessel, and set sail for a new and terrifyingly uncertain world. The old city has called, and I wish that more would have the bravery to join me on my journey.
Put aside Leviathan, explore your dreams, until the world fades and progress is maintained. Tarshish is manifesting piece by piece. All you can do now is hope that the Eschaton sees its fruits. Who was Solomon, and what were his dreams? Who was Bel, and what were her dreams? Who are you, and what are your dreams? Contentment is a dream that they will never realize. Neither will you. Who is Abraham, and what are his dreams? Perhaps contentment is nothing but stagnation. Perhaps the dream itself is an agent of progress. Time to rise to the surface. I'm back here, at the source of the water. Except, is this reality? The bridge is fine, there's no bottomless abyss. Old city retention. And there we have it. he surfaced. That was a incredibly beautiful game. That was really incredible. Yeah, this is one of the what's the right word? This is one of the most emotionally engaging games that I've ever played. It's really something incredible. It really is. I love it. I really love it. I don't even know how to talk about it. I'm trying to think of how I would even describe this game to other people, because I want people to play it, so I want to be able to tell them, you know, play this game, but how do I even talk about it? I don't know, but it's, God, it's so good, it's beautiful. And wonderfully written, and just... there's so much emotional depth to it. It really is just lovely. Well, since I'm at a loss for words, I think I'll stop talking until it ends up being 10 minutes of me just, like, babbling and saying nothing of real substance. So, let's just cut it off there. I think I pretty much have to make a sort of review kind of video for this because I really want other people to play it. So I guess I'll save my more extended thoughts for that video. I just want to say, I freaking love this game. That was a wonderful experience. I hope you enjoyed joining me on my journey. And thank you for watching.